On January 16th of 2017, Ukraine has filed the claim with the International Court of Justice, requesting the court to initiate proceedings against Russia. In this claim, Ukraine is accusing Russia of violating the Convention on the Suppression of Financing Terrorism and International Convention on Elimination of all forms of racial discrimination. And when filing this claim, Ukraine has also requested the court to order the so-called preliminary measures. In particular, Ukraine is saying that Russia is providing financing, weaponry, ammunition, and training to certain groups in eastern Ukraine which commit terrorist acts and terrorist activities, obviously referring to the so-called DPR, LNR, the Kharkiv rebels and other groups. So these hearings, which started here in The Hague on March 16th, are exactly the hearings on initiating on institution by the court of these provisional measures. Well, the oral hearings on institution of the provisional measures will last 4 days. They started on March the 6th with Ukraine presenting its arguments. On March the 7th, Russia is presenting its arguments, and the next 2 days the parties will respond to the arguments and claims presented by each other. And basically what Ukraine is requesting the court to order Russia is to stop violating the two conventions which I mentioned earlier, the Convention on financing, prohibition to finance terrorism, and Convention on suppression of all forms of racial discrimination. And when we were talking to Ukraine's delegation yesterday, we do understand, and seems like Ukraine's delegation also understands, that in practical terms this will most likely mean nothing. But if the court takes Ukraine's position and orders Russia these provisional measures, this will most likely have a huge diplomatic and international meaning for Ukraine. Well, what Ukraine wants, it's basically not just for the court to order Russia to stop financing terrorists or to stop violating the rights of Crimean Tatars in eastern Ukraine, but Ukraine wants that the highest judicial authority within the United Nations system to recognize and declare that Russia is indeed providing financing to the terrorists in eastern Ukraine, and that Russia indeed is violating the human rights of Crimean Tatars in Crimea. And again, as we discussed this with the Ukrainian delegation, this will give Ukraine additional diplomatic tools and additional means for pressuring Russia by the international community if they get this high judicial authority, the International Court of Justice, to rule in favor of Ukraine. The hearings will last for 4 days, and then the judges will start to deliberate. The exact time how long this will take is not yet known, and in practice it may take from several weeks to several months. But we should also keep in mind that Ukraine should not be too optimistic when expecting the court to rule in favor of Ukraine in these provisional measures, because the most glaring example of the court's negligence, if you wish, in the similar cases was in 1993, when the International Court of Justice, when Bosnia and Herzegovina was asking the International Court of Justice to order Serbia and Montenegro to refrain from similar activities which Ukraine is now asking the court to do, and not to prevent crimes against humanity and crimes of genocide. And we all know very well that even the court did request and did rule in favor of Bosnia and Herzegovina in that matter. Just in 2 years' time, the grave massacre in Srebrenica took place. So this court's order was in no much help, did not do much help to Bosnia-Herzegovina. But again, Ukraine is hoping that this order will help it on the diplomatic area and on the international arena to pressure Russia even more. The ICJ is not the first international court where Ukraine is trying to get justice from Russia, but it is by far the latest and also by far the most significant one. There is currently, if we were talking about other court systems, judicial systems, there are currently 5 cases, interstate cases in the European Court of Human Rights of Ukraine versus Russia. The first one was filed as early as end of February 2014, when the first so-called green man appeared on the Crimean Peninsula. And right now there are 5 cases like this, and Ukraine is preparing the 6th case, which they expect to file around April or May of this year. There's also an international criminal court where Ukraine has submitted to the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court of all events which took place on the territory of Ukraine, starting from November 22nd, 2013. That's when the Euromaidan protests started in Kyiv. Right now, this is on the preliminary examination phase, where the prosecutor of the International Court is looking into the details, deciding whether a criminal case can be opened. There are also numerous international commercial arbitrations where Ukrainian fully owned Ukrainian enterprises such as Naftogaz have legal battles with Gazprom in Stockholm. Ukrainian wholly owned Oshad Bank is suing Russia for $1 billion for losses of business and assets due to annexation in Crimea. And the recently nationalized Privat Bank has the similar claim against Russia, both here in The Hague, in the Permanent Court of Arbitration, as well as in Stockholm. So as you can see, Ukraine is fighting these legal battles on all possible fronts. And also one other case which just came out to my mind is the WTO, the World Trade Organization. In February, Ukraine initiated proceedings in the trade dispute in the World Trade Organization. So as you can see, the numerous international, legal and other institutions are trying to resolve legal disputes between Ukraine and Russia. As I have already briefly mentioned, Ukraine has requested the International Criminal Court to initiate proceedings, and Ukraine has submitted to the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court, which is located also here in The Hague, where we are right now. Ukraine has signed but not ratified the Rome Statute, which is also one of the legal technicalities, and right now the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court is looking into 3 different instances, 3 different events which took place in Ukraine, namely the killings of the protesters on the Euromaidan during the Euromaidan in Central Kyiv during Euromaidan revolution, the events happening in Crimea, and also obviously the armed activities in eastern Ukraine. And just at the end of last year, in November 2016, when the prosecutor was issuing her annual report on the preliminary investigations, the prosecutor concluded that Russia is behind a lot of alleged crimes and atrocities which are being committed in eastern Ukraine, and that the annexation of Crimea could have amounted to the aggression on the side of Russia. And immediately after this report has been released, Russia has retracted its signature under the Rome Statute, thus claiming that the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court Russia would not fall under the jurisdiction of the International Criminal Court. But nevertheless, the prosecutor of the ICC is still looking into the matters. She's still reviewing the facts and the documents which Ukrainian government and Ukrainian NGOs are providing to the ICC, and actually in the next couple of months a mission of the ICC is expected to come to Ukraine.